Hey Houston, it's Dinko, the Realtor. Are you moving to Houston or are you already here and wondering what suburb to live around the greater Houston area? Well, we're going to take a look at a list of different suburbs around the greater Houston area. And before we get to that, we're going to be looking at this map a lot, but I just want to show where the city limits are going to lie. So right here, the Sam Houston Beltway 8 loop is going to pretty much cover the entire Houston city limits. And that's going to be a toll road. The inner loop 610, Interstate 610 is going to be a free loop. But however, once you're using Sam Houston Beltway 8, this is a toll road all around. And there are toll roads throughout the greater Houston area. And I will point those out as we're going through the list. Now, I got this list off of Houston Newcomers Guides, and this list isn't mine. I'm not steering anybody in one direction versus the other. I don't believe that there is one suburb that's better than the rest because everybody's going to have different things that they're looking for. Plus the sheer size of Houston. I mean, if you take a look at this, the size of Houston is enormous. I mean, all of this around is the greater Houston area, and it's bigger almost than the state of Massachusetts. So the size of it is just huge, and where you work, it's probably going to have a lot of impacts of where you're going to want to live. You're probably not going to want to live on one side of town and work on the other side of town. Now, if you're working in downtown, you're kind of in the middle. Some places are going to be a little bit closer than others, and maybe you're going to like a suburb more than the other one, but maybe that commute is going to be better with the other suburbs. So you're going to have kind of a decision to make there. Now let's start the list, and we're going to start down here in the southern part of the greater Houston area, right around Galveston. So Galveston didn't make the list that they had, but League City did. So League City is right here. And then Friendswood made the list, which is right there. And then Pearland made the list as well. And Pearland is right here. So if we zoom out, Pearland is right there, right outside of the Beltway 8 Sam Houston Tollway. And then League City is a little bit further down. And then Friendswood is kind of in between the two. So what I really like about the area is it's down towards the south. So you're going to have a lot more palm trees, and you're also going to have access to Galveston. So if you sometimes want to go down there, though Galveston's not a real beach because it's kind of taken over by the oil rigs. However, it's still really nice to go out there. There's nice scenery, restaurants. You get that ocean breeze. And some people do swim. I used to swim there. Then I came to the conclusion I no longer want to swim there. So it's kind of a 50-50 depending on who you're talking to. But it's really nice. I really like the fact that there's those palm trees. So you get that coastal feeling and that vibe of living on the coast. Now, one thing to keep in mind is the closer you get to the coast, it's also a little bit more prone to flooding. So the Galveston area and the suburbs that are around Galveston do tend to flood a little bit more, or you have to pay for flood insurance. And now this is actually true for the entire greater Houston area because there are flood zones throughout the greater Houston area, depending if you're close to a bayou, a river. So you're really probably going to have that everywhere. So when you're taking a look, you might want to see if you're in a flood zone because you are going to have flood insurance if you do have a mortgage on the house until the house is paid off. So do keep that in mind. And if you're working in NASA, you're probably going to want to be in one of these suburbs because you're going to have quick access to work, so you're not being stuck in the long commutes. And now let's jump over to the Missouri City area, and Sugarland made the list, Stafford made the list, and then Richmond made the list. So Missouri City is going to be this section right here. It's going to stretch all the way around here. Sugarland is going to pretty much stretch around here. And then Stafford is going to be right around, oh, there it is. So Stafford is going to be right around here. So it's right outside of the loop. And then Richmond, even though it shows here on the map, Richmond all the way out here, that's more Rosenberg. Richmond is really going to be this area right here. So this entire area. Now, let's start with Missouri. Missouri is going to offer a lot of master plan communities as well. You're probably going to be able to get more house for your money. However, do keep in mind, and I will be pointing this out as I mentioned, the toll roads. It's not really close to a highway like 288 or an interstate like like I-69, 59. So this is actually called 69 and 59. You'll see that when you're driving through. So this tollway right here, Fort Bend Parkway, is an expensive toll, and you're kind of secluded from having direct access down into downtown or the Galleria area. So do keep that in mind. I do have people that are moving in the area, or they're looking at one suburb, and then when they take the toll stuff into consideration, they say, okay, the house is worth this much, the tolls are going to cost me this much. That's something you probably want to calculate as you're going to be using tolls and the house expenses. You kind of want to probably merge the two together. And also do me a favor, if you like the information you're receiving on this video, give me a thumbs up, make sure you hit that subscribe button. And if you need to get a hold of me, my phone number will pop somewhere here on the screen, and it's always going to be down below in the description. So feel free to call or text me anytime, days, nights, weekends. And now let's get back over to the list here again. So that's going to be the Missouri city. Stafford is going to give you the closest location proximity if you are working in downtown, which is going to be right there, or if you're working in the Galleria area, which is going to be right there. So Stafford will give you quick access to that. Sugar Land is going to be a little bit further out. So this is going to be the Sugar Land area right here. And then Richmond has a lot of new construction going on, so you're definitely going to be able to find newer and bigger houses. And it's going to be stretching throughout this 99 loop. So 99 is going to be the biggest stretch of highway in the nation, and it's going to be it is a toll road. So that's something to keep in mind as well. When you're having to use 99, it's going to be a toll road. So if you're going to be in this Richmond area right here, you're kind of stuck between just toll roads. West Park Tollway is a toll road and 99 is a toll road, and they're not fairly cheap. Now, if you're coming from New York, the tolls might be cheap. I've heard that they're pretty bad out there, but they're pretty expensive. And some of these, like I said, West Park is going to be a pretty expensive one. 99, it looks cheap, but they have just, payment after payment coming up. It's not a long stretch before you have to pay again for using the toll. Sam Houston, I feel like it's a very well priced toll. It's not too expensive. But some of these other ones, I feel like they're pricey. So if you're living in this area and you're having to use West Park and 99, do keep that in mind, that you're going to have to use tolls to get down into the Galleria and the downtown area. So as you're looking at houses and kind of figuring out where you want to be, I recommend that you drive to all the different suburbs that you're kind of considering. That way you kind of have a feel for it and see which ones you like. So always give a list of houses that are in the budget for people that are looking to move into the greater Houston area. They drive around those different suburbs that they're thinking about, and then they narrow it down to 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 that they really like based on the commutes and based on what they've seen and experienced. So I do recommend doing that. Now let's stretch over here to the Fulshire Katy area. So they made the list as well. Fulshire is going to be this area right here. Katy is going to be pretty big. It's going to have 4 different zip codes. So this entire area right here is going to be the southern part of Katy, and this right here is going to be the northern part of Katy. Now Katy is almost built out. The zip code right here, 77494, is pretty much almost complete. It's about 95% completed, 97%. The one part of Katy that's still left is this one right here, the 77493. This one's about 50% built out, and then once that's built out, it's going to start merging with Cypress. Cypress is starting to get built out more and more going west here as well. So a lot of the builders that are finishing up in Katy are now moving to the Cypress area, and they're starting to build more and more homes here. And the two kind of merge right around here. You're going to have Cypress and you're going to have Katy. Cypress also did make the list as well. So let's take a look here at the Fulshire area first. Now Fulshire is going to be a little bit further from town, so that is something to keep in mind. Your commutes are going to be long, and also it has access to the West Park Tollway. And then if you're trying to get to I-10, this stretch of 99 right here is free. That's in between the West Park and I-10, so you're not going to have to pay for it, though it does get pretty congested because of the way that it was designed. Not a lot of stuff from the interstate goes to these suburbs here, so it does get congested. So definitely keep all of that in mind. Drive around the area. Now Cinco Ranch, you might see Cinco Ranch popping up, and you might think, if you're not around the Houston area, that it's a different city altogether from Katy. It's just a really big master plan community inside of Katy, so it's not a separate city. It is part of Katy. Now, all of this is going to be Katy, as I was saying, and you're going to have access to Interstate 10. This part of Katy is being built out. It's about 50% done. This one is almost completed as well. Here, you got some stuff that's being built closer to 99. Do keep in mind that Interstate 10 is the busiest interstate in the greater Houston area, so your commutes are going to be longer if you are living in Katy and you are working in the Galleria or the downtown area versus living in Sugar Land, Missouri, because you're going to be a little bit closer, and then as well as League City. Now, 45 this way, they're doing a lot of construction, and that construction should be ending soon. So the good news is once that construction is done, it's going to relieve a lot of congestion on 45 here. So you should be able to have those commutes feel a little bit better going into the downtown area. Now going into Galleria from this area is going to be a little bit more tricky. So that's going to depend on where you're trying to be a lot, where you're trying to work. So definitely drive around to different areas. And so that's going to be one of the downfalls of Katy, is it is going to be a lot further out, and then the traffic on Interstate 10. Now, the one positive of the Katy area, if you are working in downtown, is it has 2 HOV lanes. It's part of the Katy tollway. So a lot of people that are not from the area get confused and think that Katy freeway is a separate freeway and it's going to be a toll all around, though it's actually part of Interstate 10. And it's called Katy Freeway because when they expanded it, they put the HOV lanes 2 going in each direction, and that's a toll as well as an HOV lane. So if you're not using it during the HOV hours, it's going to be a toll regardless of how many people are in the car. So do keep that in mind. And the toll is open all the time. They don't shut it down like they shut off the other HOV lanes when they're not in primary use. Now, that's going to be one thing. But the park and rides are going to be good because they have 2 lanes in each direction that they can go in and out of downtown. So that is a positive. But if you are driving into downtown, you're definitely going to feel that congestion on Interstate 10. Now, Cypress, let's go over here. Cypress is going to be this area right there. And the one thing that I really like about Katy before we go to Cypress is a lot of stuff is being built in the Katy area. So a lot of restaurants, a lot of activities, gold cards, things like that. There's just a lot to do in Katy, and that's why it's one of the desired places and why people sometimes are willing to have that longer commute and deal with that traffic. And the reason I mentioned that is just when we take a look at the Cypress area here, I have had people tell me that they're traveling into Katy a lot because that's where things are. So in Cypress, you're going to have a little bit more seclusion. So if you're looking to feel like you're a little bit of a smaller suburb of Houston, you're going to get that feel in Cypress versus Katy. So it's kind of a separate preference. Some people really like that. They like the fact that there's not as much going on and that the suburbs feel more like they're secluded from everything. And the other cool thing about Cypress is 290 just got done being widened. So you're not going to have to live through all this construction. People were living through that construction for almost 10 years until it got finished a few years back. And 290, because of that, is really not as congested as it used to be, and it's one of the better stretches of highway that we have in the greater Houston area now. Though once you get to 610, you have to merge over here to I-10 to get to downtown, so that does kind of cause some congestion there. However, 290 itself is great. Now let's move over to the north side over here. So Spring made the list, the Woodlands area made the list, and we also had Humble and Kingswood that made the list. So Humble is right here, and then Kingswood, it's not popping on the map for some reason, but it's going to be right above the Humble area. And Spring right here is going to be really good commute wise as far as I-45. However, do keep in mind that they're going to be doing a lot of construction on I-45 here, and they're talking about revamping the way I-45 is, demolishing it, putting it a different way around downtown. So definitely keep all of that in mind, as if you're traveling in and out of downtown, that could potentially cause your commutes to be really, really long. And then the Woodlands area is a little bit further out. Woodlands has a lot of Fortune 500 companies and has a lot of jobs in its market as well. So if you're going to be working one of those jobs, you're probably going to like that Woodlands Spring area. And if you are working in downtown, I do have some people that really love that Woodlands area and they don't mind the commute. That's the one thing about the Woodlands and Katy, is they're both on the outskirts of 99. So they both do have really long commutes. However, they do have a lot of activities, a lot of restaurants, and a lot of stuff that are built around it. So you don't have to necessarily travel out of those cities once you do get back home, but work-wise, that is something to kind of keep in mind. So the Woodlands area, like I said, made the list. Spring made the list. And then let me just pull up Kingswood because it's going to be right there by Humble. And it's not pronounced humble, it's pronounced Humble, the H is silent. So there we go. So there's Humble, and then there's that Kingswood area right there. So those made the list. And right here in Humble, Humble has a lot of construction. The northeast side has a lot of construction. So you tend to be able to get a little bit more house for your money, because there's a lot more new construction going on and it's not as populated. So if you take a look here, the city really was built kind of westward and north. So that north area and that west area going south. But if you take a look from the south of Galveston, there's a lot of population going on. But right here on the outskirts where 99 is going to be, there's not a whole lot of houses. Excuse me, there's not a whole lot of houses. So there's a lot of new construction here, and there's going to be a lot of new construction here. And then the east side of town is going to be a lot more with the industrial side. So that's where a lot of the petrochemical stuff is going to lie. And of course, there's the ship canal and all of that. So keep all of that in mind as you're kind of looking which suburb you want to live in. And if you have any questions, you can call me, text me, day or night, weekends. My contact information will be coming up on the screen here, and it'll be down below in the description. Make sure you hit the subscribe button so you're notified when new videos are dropped. I hope you enjoyed the video, and until next time, have a great day.